Quick, pinch me, now bite me, now slap my face and spank my right buttock.
Alright, so we've gotten to the first of the DreamWorks trio of Nicktoons, Penguins of Madagascar. Oh, I'm sorry, The Penguins of Madagascar. Penguins of Madagascar was the spin-off movie. The Penguins of Madagascar is the television show, which makes this show actually rather difficult to look up, or at least moderately annoying because I keep getting search results for the movie. But that's neither here nor there, and it's not something you can blame the show for, which I'm going to keep calling Penguins of Madagascar because it flows better in a script. So I'm just gonna come right out and say it, but this show is actually really good. Like, surprisingly good. I remember catching a few episodes of the show when it was on the air, but I have to say that this one really held up. Maybe it's just me. After all, I've been going through the Nicktoons, and let's say the late 2000s of Nickelodeon was in a pretty bad place. If you've been following along, you've probably seen that I've been quite a bit down on them. Let me put it this way. Penguins of Madagascar is the only 2000s Nicktoon that aired after 2005 that I actually like. And the 2010 starts us off with Planet Sheen. After the X's and Mighty B and El Tigre and Tag and the Power of Juju, and well, let's just say etc., or else I'm going to be listing them all, it's a breath of fresh air to experience a show as genuinely funny and charming as this one. And that's surprising on multiple fronts. Not only did this show come out right smack dab in the middle of Nickelodeon's darkest age, but it was also based on a movie. A movie that didn't even have the best reception. I remember watching Madagascar like more than once growing up, but I literally remember nothing about the movie itself, so I have to assume that it's probably mediocre. Although, from what I can tell, consensus is split right down the middle. Some people say that Madagascar is one of DreamWorks' good franchises, and some say that it's one of their bad ones. Let's just say it's no How to Train Your Dragon. It's no Shrek either. It's a weird franchise for DreamWorks to want to make into an ongoing series, to be honest, considering it's not like the most profitable thing that they've ever done. Who knows though, maybe they saw ongoing story potential and that was the reason they wanted to make the show. But that'd be silly. Studio heads making products for art and not for business? That'd be ridiculous. I will have to say though that the animation of the show itself can be kind of lacking, or at least it feels that way. When you go from a big budget CGI movie to a television budget CGI show, you can really feel it in the motions and the expressions. The penguins themselves look and move fine, which is one of the many smart reasons to have the show star the penguins. It's because they have sleek bodies, and it's understandable to make them look like plastic. The problem comes to the animals that have a lot of fur, and were shown as fuzzy in the movie. The lemurs, for instance, in the show kinda look blurry, because fuzz isn't something you could do on a television budget, at least for the time. Even nowadays, CGI cartoons generally don't show the fuzz on animal characters for a reason. Not only is it more expensive, it's hard to make it look good. This is a problem that all the DreamWorks cartoons are going to have, not just on Nickelodeon, and it can be really distracting sometimes. Even if you didn't watch the movie, it could look a little low budget here and there, compared to a CGI show that's planned from the ground up with a television budget. The show doesn't score too many points for originality either. Penguins are certainly a fun animal to work with, but making them secret agents is kind of an obvious joke at this point. RuneScape, one of the most popular MMOs at the time, had and still does have a side quest series that's all about secret agent penguins. And of course there was Club Penguin, with secret agent missions. Kids at the time definitely would have been onto this gag. But quite honestly, none of this mattered to me when I watched the show. While I can usually be very hard on cliche premises and these kind of archetypes that I've seen over and over again, Penguins of Madagascar is just so earnest and charming. It's hard to describe. The show envelops itself in secret agent cliches to a ridiculous degree, and it gives it its own unique style and flair. It's really hard to describe. It's kind of like a less serious Kids Next Door, where the characters take the situations they come across as more seriously, if that makes any sense at all. I suppose one thing that does help me forgive some of the unoriginality is that it's quite close to a spy show, a genre that isn't used too much in cartoons, and has never been done before on Nickelodeon, barring spy parodies like you'd see on, say, Jimmy Neutron. And I guess the X's if you count that. I don't count the X's, we don't count the X's, we never talk about the X's again, it doesn't exist. Every time the Penguin spy theme started playing, I couldn't help but get invested in what kind of crazy maneuvers that they do. Speaking of charming, these characters fit the bill in spades. They translate to the episodic format really well. There's Skipper, the leader. He's always got a plan and always knows the mission, but he's not like other leader characters. He's not egocentric or megalomaniacal. He's willing to set aside important business to let his team have fun once in a while. It's really nice to see. The others are just as good. Kowalski isn't just the nerd egghead. There's a bit of personality to him. Rico isn't just the idiot either. You know, he avoids the trap of the stupid character just doing whatever cause lol stupid. For instance, his stupidity actually doesn't get anyone hurt. At least anyone who he doesn't mean to hurt. And when he's willing to do so, it's usually justified. And then, of course, there's Private, the softer little brother character that has a charm all on his own. His focus episodes and scenes can get surprisingly heartwarming. That's another thing, this show can get surprisingly heartwarming. It's not Last of the Star Makers, but episodes like the one where the penguins are taking care of an egg are a surprisingly good watch. And the show is actually really funny. There's a great variety in terms of its comedy. A lot of it is physical, as you'd expect a show about penguins to be, but there's a lot of verbal comedy and one-liners that never feel very corny. It was rare that there was an episode that I didn't laugh at least once.
What kind of sick and twisted toy factory is this?
A lot of this comes from the voice acting. These actors seem to be in love with their roles. As far as I know, it's not the same actors as the ones from the movies, but some people really wish that they were, because they feel more fitting than the movie's voice actors. There are other characters too, and they're alright. They tend to make good setups for plots, but don't give much beyond that, with the exception of King Julian. King Julian is a difficult character to tolerate. Like, he can be a really difficult character to tolerate. Most of the problems in the show are caused by him, and that could easily get on your nerves, especially because he's a really arrogant kind of character. I do think he has enough moments of, pardon the pun, but humanity about him to make him not irredeemable. I think the biggest issue I have with him is the voice. It's a very annoying one, and it can be hard to understand at times. He also tries to sing, emphasis on tries, and he does it way too much. And by way too much, I mean more times than zero. A character singing badly can work as a joke, but you can't give us the whole song when you do that. And music is one of the things that King Julian likes the most. The stories can also be a little bit cliche, but I do think that's okay. If you're able to do the cliches really well, and this show does do cliches really well, you can rise above all of that and make something surprisingly unique. And that's what the show is. It's a surprising amount of fun, and it's a show that I'm probably going to watch the rest of the episodes when I have more time. Like Cat Dog put me in a bad mood whenever I watched it, this show put me in a good mood whenever I watched it. And it's ridiculous to think that it's this show that did it. Penguins of Madagascar, of all things. I can only hope the other DreamWorks cartoons have just as much effort put into them. So what's next?
Next on Nick, it's...
Oh goody! I'm just gonna go die now.
Me in my J, with me he will stay, and then we can play all night and all day. From this lemur egg, my lemur prince will rise. His little femur leg growing to king size. He'll be legally mine. Oh, look at how cute he is. Me in my J, with me he will stay, and then we can play from June until May. He'll be regally, I said regally mine.